When I first saw Tejas' TikTok videos, I knew that he was a force to be reckoned with. I thought to myself, this guy is going to blow up one day. His videos are informative, creative, and also very entertaining. Fast forward a few months, I actually met him at a brand event at Adobe Max, and I invited him to be on the podcast. What's really cool about Tejas is that he's only 22 years old, and he has this energy and hunger for content creation, business, and innovation that I feel like some more seasoned influencers have kind of lost. Today, I met up with him to nerd out about the creator economy, talk about how he plans to recession-proof his business, his creative ways of hiring, and also what his long-term visions are for his personal brand. Let's get into it. Dream your future, create it today.
Hello everyone, my name is Tejas Hullur and I'm a content creator who lives in New York City.
I think because a lot of my audience probably don't know you yet, I would love for you to give us maybe like a brief introduction of what you do, what platforms you're on, and what you consider yourself as content creator, influencer, or like a business entrepreneur.
I love that. It's a great question. So at a surface level, I do make content, right?
Yeah.
Primarily on TikTok at the moment, but expanding onto YouTube and TikTok. But I always say the content creation world is 50% of what I do.
Yeah.
And to properly explain what the rest of what I do, I call myself a train hopper.
Train hopper.
A train hopper. That's
interesting.
Not really speaking.
Yeah.
But basically right now I'm hopping on these other trains, helping move them forward, and then hopping on another one. So an example is I co-founded an ice cream shop in New York City, Catch and Ice Cream.
Yes.
That is with my co-founder, Dylan LeMay. He's the biggest food creator on TikTok, and he makes ice cream. And so I'm a business guy at heart, and so we partnered up and made an ice cream shop happen in New York. And then after that train, I recently got casted into a Nickelodeon show. And so now I'm furthering Nickelodeon's train, helping them with the show, right? And then from there, we work with Adobe a lot, right?
Yes.
So we're helping Adobe. And so I'm like hopping different trains, and right now I'm in the transition phase of how do I go from all these different trains to build my own train and really push this train forward. So
yes, I would love to talk to you about that.
Yeah.
But first, I guess a little bit of context. Let's kind of like talk about them one by one. The Catch and Ice Cream. How did you meet Dylan, and how did you get involved and become a co-founder?
This is a great story. So this was like around May of 2021, so just over a year and a half ago. And I had no friends in this space, right? I started creating content in August 2020. I've created for like 8 months or so. And I had one friend who lived in LA. I was living in Indiana.
Wow.
So many creators in Indiana.
Yeah.
And I remember at this time on June 12th, 2021, there was this event called TikTokers versus YouTubers. It was a boxing event. You remember that?
Yes, I remember. Yes.
I remember this. And I remember thinking going, there's a bunch of creators here. There has to be a way that I can at least go make a friend if I go to this event in Miami.
Yeah.
And
so you had to buy the ticket, make that investment and all of that, right?
Exactly. But more than that, I said, I can go there and just try to can you swear here?
Yeah.
I was gonna I can go there and kiss people's ass and try to get to know them. But
I don't think ass is a swear, but yes.
But the thing was okay, I have some mutuals on TikTok, meaning that I follow them, they follow me back. We have they could see my DMs.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So what if I just DM everyone on TikTok and go, hey, I have an extra ticket to this event. I'm going to get hotels, basically promising them a free trip to Miami. Do you want to go with me? And I remember texting this to, at the time, Lil Yachty followed me. And I remember texting it to him, texting it to all these random people.
Yeah.
And again, most of them said either no or they can't do it.
Yeah.
Dylan was one of the people who said, I'll actually already be in Miami if you have an extra ticket.
Oh, wow.
To join you.
Wow.
And he brought one of his close friends, Milad, and that's exactly what happened. I found a way to get an extra ticket, the flights and everything. And it was two of my very first friends in the space. And Dylan and I on that trip, he talked to me about how his history with Cold Stone, he managed a Cold Stone for 10 years. And he knew that the obvious next step in his character arc was to start his own ice cream shop.
Yeah.
And long story short, my following is of, I always say, creators, entrepreneurs, and best of all, investors.
Yeah.
I just knew this investor who would be perfect for this, connected them to, And the rest is history after that.
I see. Wow. Okay. I never knew that part of the story. It's very interesting. I love how you focus on the networking side of it. Can you paint a picture for us in terms of like why you started? Because I know you were like in college, right? And it was a pandemic, which is like a weird time to be in college, to be in school, and then to have to go into society and figure out your path in life. How did you jump on this content creation bandwagon? Were you always interested?
Yeah. So I think it started in, I mean, I always grew up on YouTube, right? I'm sure a lot of us creators have.
Yes.
Right. I remember watching David Dobrik early on. And the thing about David Dobrik is he grew up like 30 minutes away from me in Chicago. So I grew up in the suburbs of Chicago, and he grew up in Vernon Hills, Chicago. And I remember his early vlogs were at places that I go to, right? So I remember this vlog. It was like him at Woodfield Mall, which is this big mall in Schaumburg. And like I would go there every week. And I remember seeing that video, seeing that it got 1 million views, and seeing that he has a camera not much better than like what I had. Canon 80D.
Yeah.
And I went, whoa. Like it was one of those things that like broke a barrier, because sometimes you look at these content creators and you go, they must be living on Mars. Like they don't live in the same world as I do. Right?
Yeah.
And it's crazy the life they live. But this one was like, it hit so close at home.
Yeah.
I was like, I can do this.
Yeah.
Like, and I've always wanted to, but I never had the confidence to. So I started making YouTube bits that summer of 2020, kind of peak pandemic.
Question. Why do you feel like you never have the confidence to? Did you feel like you were too young, or was it a matter of like trying to be more confident on camera, or?
I think my brain would just convince like, oh, but David has this, or like these people all have this and I don't, therefore I can't do it. Right? I think, you know, I grew up with, you know, very traditional Indian parents as well, right? And it's like, you are just set on this path of, you're going to do this.
Yes.
For me, it was like engineering or something in the business world. Yeah. I'm like, okay, I guess that's who I am. Their parents must have been like, you can be a content, like you just make up all these situations in your head.
Yeah.
But again, seeing that one video of him at Woodfield Mall, I was like,
that could be me.
Like, he's not like on a movie set.
Yeah.
Like he's not making, he's like in the real world with where I am.
That's right.
And that was really mind blowing to me looking back now. Yeah.
So then first you decided to start on YouTube or TikTok or both?
I started on YouTube, and I'd make these, I just challenged myself to post every day. Wow. They're not good. They didn't get any views, but it was great because I didn't know how to edit. Yeah. This was my way of like, okay, let me get the first repetitions on Premiere.
That's how you get good.
Yeah, exactly. Watching 4-hour free YouTube tutorials on how to use Adobe Premiere Pro, and then you just kind of keep doing it.
Yes. Right.
So around this time, it was the first semester of my junior year of college, and all my friends were scrolling at this app. This is TikTok.
Yeah.
I go, what are these people doing?
What is TikTok?
Yeah. I downloaded it. I'm watching all my friends during passing period just go. And I was like, okay, this must be where everything's going. And again, I think this same thing, like David Dobrik was started going on this platform. I go, okay, attention is moving to here. Why don't I start posting? So August 2020, I challenged myself, 3 videos a day. It doesn't matter if they're good or bad, just post.
Wow.
And in the first month, I saw 2,000 followers. I've never had more than 300 followers in my life. And I went, oh, yeah, okay, this is the game. This is addicting. Just keep going from there.
So when I first saw your TikToks, I thought you were like mostly commenting on the creator economy. Yeah. And I thought it was very fascinating. And so I followed you. And I was like, this guy is going to be big. Like, I was like, the way he delivers the message, but also makes it loop perfectly. You were doing those perfect loops. And I was like, this is good. I binge watched a few, and I have not like a rule, but I have a thing where like, if I binge watch at least 10 of their videos and I like them, I'm going to follow them because clearly I like them enough to like watch all these. So then I was like, I'm going to follow this guy. I'm going to watch where he goes, and he's going to be really big. And so
I'm not big yet. We'll do this podcast in 2 years,
and we'll see where he's at. But you had a different way about you that like sort of differentiated you from like other TikTokers. So how did you decide on sort of the creator economy topic and then also find your style?
Oh my gosh, it's just evading imposter syndrome, right? I'll get into that. So I think number one is I noticed that the videos I was making very early on, they get a couple thousand views, maybe a couple hundred, like nothing like popped off crazy. And this is when I tried to be like everyone else on the app, right? You'd see those TikTok gurus early on. They'd be like, just do these trends. This trend is blowing up. Just make it in your own way.
Yeah.
I've always been a business-minded guy.
Yeah.
So I've always I like making videos about business because I know that's what my competitive advantage is. I can think about this world and it sounds so trite, but like an entrepreneurial light.
Yeah.
Right. I know I'm not this entrepreneur, it is what it is, right? And then I remember going December, it was winter break, and I said, what if I, instead of using my phone and just trying to do trends, let me just throw this video up there. I remember early on I bought a Canon M50, one of those cameras at a Costco.
Yeah.
And I got myself a low aperture Sigma lens, it was 1.8. I was like, oh, if I put this really down, it makes the back blurry and it's real nice. What if I use this instead? I haven't seen anyone use a nice professional camera yet. And I did. And I remember people commenting right away oh, the editing quality on this is unreal. And oh, okay. That's engagement. People like it. Let me keep going. And then I figured out lighting. And it's oh, lighting can make this all look great. The bokeh and the back and everything. And I go, okay, let me keep going. I still don't know the intricacies of color theory and lighting and etc. Just this works and this looks cool.
Yeah.
And I kept going and I started understanding oh, instead of just putting a PNG or whatever, what are different ways I can make it feel more dynamic? And this gets really technical, but to me, I think what happened was when you see again, TikTok is just an unlimited scroll of content.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't interest the viewer in the first millisecond,
they're gone. Yeah.
Right, they're gone. And I think what this camera and the editing style did was when you get on my video, I just bought half a second of insurance. So even if the topic didn't interest you, you go, oh, this video is different. And you stay for that little bit. And that half a second insurance gave me so much more flexibility to talk about whatever I want. And so eventually the creator economy stuff came from, I love the space.
Yeah.
It was so new.
Yeah.
Right? It does, there's no textbook on how to be a creator.
Yes.
There's only your course.
Yes.
And it's
nice plug.
There you go. But that part of it is so amazing. And it's also one of the places where I'm 22 now.
Yeah.
And people older than me ask me what's going on, and I just realized age doesn't matter. If I was in the finance space talking about stocks and people look at this 22-year-old is talking about stocks.
Yes.
I'm not gonna listen to him. I'm gonna look at the 40-year-old who's done.
Yes.
This space there is there's no history yet.
Yeah, that's right.
So I think a lot of stars aligned in that way, and that's where I'm at.
I see. It's good to hear your backstory because when I first found you, I just kind of assumed that you were always super fascinated about creators and stuff versus you kind of experimented a little before you landed on the right voice for you, etc. But I will say, I think we can all look and emulate in terms of how things look visually for the video. But the one thing that I think maybe perhaps this is something just of a natural talent that you have is the storytelling.
Thank you.
And I realized maybe this is a natural talent when I read your newsletter. Out West.
Out West.
Right? Is that right?
Yeah.
So that's when I realized, I think Tejas is just naturally a good storyteller.
Thank you.
Do you think that could be the case? Are you naturally more good with writing, good with words?
No.
Okay. Debunk me. Tell us how you developed that skill.
It's fascinating that you say that. I'm not a creative person.
Really?
I really don't think so. I grew up I was born and made into this person that if you give me an Excel document, I will do to the best of my ability.
Mm-hmm.
That's what the first 18 years, 21 years of my life has been. I've been primed to be this crunch numbers, be the best either accountant or engineer you possibly can be.
Yeah.
That's still how my brain works. But in a way, it's randomly helpful for that. I've never done well in English school or writing essays or stuff like that. But no, I appreciate you saying that. I'm trying to think what got me into, because storytelling is one of the biggest lessons I've heard.
Yeah.
Or just mind-blowing moments. It's everything comes down to a story. The only reason anyone is interested in anything is because the storytelling behind it. I think I just surrounded myself with people that are way better than me in storytelling. Mm-hmm. So if you surround yourself with people 100x better, like you're gonna get 10x better being around them.
Yeah.
So the two other guys in Out West are Sean and Daniel. They're incredible storytellers.
Yes.
Incredible editors.
Yeah.
Just the byproduct of hanging out with them is, oh, I picked this up from them. Pick this up. Right. Even my Colt Kerwin, he's like one of my closest friends in New York. I look at his daily vlogs and I go, mine are a piece of shit. But again, that's okay. Like, I want to learn from him. What did he do? His pacing, etc. So I think just surrounding yourself.
They're great writers as well. How did you guys come together to create Out West, and how many series has it been? Like, what's the plan with Out West?
Yeah, it's a great question. I met so Sean Ulashin is another TikTok creator. I got to know him very early on in my space too. He went to like film school, art school, so he has this background. And I was like, he knows something I don't, but he also doesn't. I love you, Sean, but he doesn't have the best business mindset.
Yeah.
We have that symbiotic relationship. And then later on, I saw one of Danny's videos, Dodford. To this day, I still think he's the best editor I've ever seen in my life. Right. And he has so much talent. And I remember going, I need to find a way to work with him. Yeah. Or just surround myself with him. And we became friends. And I was like, I remember I was chatting with another content creator friend that I had who wanted to hire him. And I remember going, there's no way you're going to be able to. Like, yes, he might for a couple months, but he has too much potential to be a hiree of someone and not his own creator. Yeah. And I was like, I could also technically hire him, but I'm not going to do that. What if we partnered on something instead? And that's when Out West was born. Simply, it's just a newsletter right now. It's once a week we send out 3 informative bites, we call them, right? So it's like questions that people have about the space, and then 3 little snippets about our journey as creators. Yeah. And it's like every week for the entire year, we have like, this week we thought this. Now I think I'm an idiot for thinking that, and it's good to like just journal. Right? Yeah, it's just a journal. But the vision for Out West is it's really just a analogy to navigating this social media world is like what pioneers did going out west. Yeah, back in the day. Right?
Oh, I see. That's where the name came from.
Exactly. Right. So it's when you hit all the people that hit California for the first time in the gold rush and like the cowboys and like that whole world. That's very analogous to what we're doing today.
That's true. Yeah.
It just feels like you're seeing a forest and you're taking a machete and you're making your own path. Right now.
Yeah. I always tell people it's the wild, wild west because it really is.
It really is.
Yeah.
It really is. No laws yet. There's like anyone can do anything. The only rules that we know is like what other people's success is.
Mm-hmm. That's right. I
just recently got it tattooed. It's peeling right now, but we were all in London. We surprised each other. But
damn, a tattoo to seal the deal.
Exactly.
I actually really like that newsletter because of how bite-sized it is, but then it's still substantial enough. And what I find is an issue with a lot of newsletters that I read is either it's too long or it's so bite-sized where I don't get enough context or I'm not into the story yet, and then it ended. And then also another thing that's cool about the newsletter is that it's literally like learning with you guys, like going along the journey. So it's not like you claim to have it all figured out. It's more like learn with us, grow with us.
Exactly.
I like that approach.
In our manifesto, we explicitly say we're not experts.
Yeah.
Even like Out West in my brand personally, it's like I don't ever want to seem as an expert right now. I just want to seem like your best friend going along the journey with you.
Yeah, I love that.
And the fact that you got it says I'm on the right path somewhere.
Yes, you are.
Appreciate it.
So I actually kind of got inspired by that, as well as some other newsletters and what I'm hoping to do, because this is pre-launching the YouTube channel, but I'm hoping to get my audience to sign up to a newsletter that is just to grow my YouTube with me.
Yes.
And then how I plan to grow it, how I plan to launch it, and all of the numbers, when I can finally monetize and how much I make, I'll put it all in that newsletter. So then people have to sign up to get all this insider info.
Absolutely.
So hopefully people can grow with me and learn YouTube with me. So I'll drop that somewhere here.
Just even on a technical basis too, it's good to have a newsletter.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard the saying, you don't want to build a mansion on rented land?
Yes.
Right.
You need to, email is the only place where you can intimately reach the people that follow you and are most interested in you, right?
Absolutely. Exactly. Right. So, for example, I just saw a thing today that like there's new U.S. regulation on trying to ban TikTok. It's like, why am I trying to build a business right now on this platform and spending so much time learning the algorithms and stuff when it can all disappear?
Yeah.
Right? That's what it means. It's rented land, TikTok, and even YouTube, right? Like, how many creators have been able to have a sustainable business for 10 years on YouTube?
Yeah.
Percent.
Yes.
Right. And so email is one of those things where it's like, email's not going anywhere for a long time. Right. And it's even if your YouTube and TikTok and all your social platforms are shut down, do you still have a following?
Yes.
Because no one's shutting down email.
Yes. So, Alex Hormozy, I think he said something the other day. He was like, if you stripped away all of your paid ads, all of your organic traffic, if you can only just reach your audience with whatever method you have, assuming you have an email list, can you still make sales?
Yeah.
And that was like the key to understanding, do you really have an audience? And I was like, that's such a great way to think about it. And so I was like, I think I can still make some sales.
Trying to convince ourselves.
I have like 50,000 people on my email list.
That's great. Yeah.
And I've only created 2 products so far. So there's still a lot more to go, I feel like, to add to the library. So that's a really good learning lesson. Start a newsletter like Tejas. And if you don't feel like you're an expert yet, just talk about your journey because people want to learn with you.
I think, one of the biggest things that helped me was you don't need to be an expert to educate people. Even if you're a step or 2 ahead, that is very valuable.
Exactly.
Like, I'm 22 right now. What could I have told myself at 18? What could I have told myself at 20? And what could I have told myself 6 months ago?
Yeah.
Those are all valuable lessons that will hit someone. And sometimes I like to hear something that I already know, just to be reminded about it, or hear it in a different way.
Yeah.
So,
but one more thing too, because you are closer to whoever that person is starting, whatever it is that they're starting. So it's more relatable. Yeah. You can understand their pains and struggles, perhaps more than someone who's even more further along. So that's actually one of the reasons I really wanted to get you on, because I have just interviewed 8 people in the last week. Yes, it was pretty tiring, but it was so good. Like, all the conversations were amazing, but they all are very far along in their journey. A lot of them have been around for 6. I think all of them are over 6 years. Wow. Yeah. So, because these are all people I've followed for a long time or I know personally. Yeah. And a lot of them are at the point where like, I'm thinking about pivoting, or like, I'm tired, I'm burnt out, etc. And what you have is like this insatiable energy, like this like thirst for everything in this world. And I find that really contagious. And I just really like that. Yeah. And so that's why I wanted to get you on the pod before you're like a super successful, well-known creator.
Like I'm with the rest of the group. No, I appreciate it. No, first of all, it means a lot.
Yeah.
Hold one thing that I hope to give, just like the best compliments that I feel like I could receive is just being around you has inspired me. It's like, okay, I've done my job, right? Like, that's awesome. To me right now, I think why I'm just so excited is the path for me has never been so clear.
Yeah.
Like, I can see where I need to be 10 miles, 100 miles down the road. It's just the matter of fact of just getting there.
Can you describe that path for us?
Yeah. So it kind of goes back to the train hopping thing, right? So this was actually advice I got from, do you know Colin and Samir?
Yes, of course.
Samir is one of my biggest mentors I've ever had.
Yeah.
Remember, he came up to me and he gave me this train hopping analogy. He goes, Sage, man, like you can train hop and you'll live a successful life doing it. But eventually, if you do want to start your own train, that's going to be saying no to a lot of things. But at the end of the day, building your own equity is going to pay off more dividends.
Yes. I
was like, okay, great. So for me, it's the longest time it's been, okay, where is my next like big project? And honestly, where's my next paycheck going to be? Mm-hmm. Right. And it goes back to the networking. I was able to do this with this company and like do this series or produce something for this company or work with them or do this, do that, catch in, etc. Right. And I'm proud that I was able to do it. I learned a lot, but also that's time away from me going, what am I building for myself?
Yes.
And right now in 2023, the only goal I have is to really master long form.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not going to master it in a year, but at least start to master it.
Yeah.
I've never been consistent with long form. And the reason for long form, by the way, I feel like everyone assumes like everyone's going long form, but why? One, selfishly, it's a better revenue stream.
Yeah.
It's more consistent.
That's right.
2, it's a deeper connection with an audience.
Yeah.
Right? You can only go so deep with an audience when an algorithm picks my content for them versus they see a 10-minute video of mine and they click it.
Yeah.
That is not determination. Like they
intention.
Yes, exactly. Right. And so I want to deepen that relationship with the community. That path, again, it's like, how do I make long form more consistent, better? That's the path. That's that's what's 100 miles in front of me right now.
Got it.
I can see it. Before it was like, I can see multiple paths and it kind of freezes you in your tracks.
Yeah.
And now it's like, oh, okay, I see the one I need to go through.
Yeah. So you took an interesting approach to building your skills in the creator economy. Yeah. So most people that I have talked to or I saw, we kind of, because we started a long time ago, so there was no foundation in this industry. So they kind of just started just doing what they love, just sharing stuff, but it was all alone. And you took it to a different level with the collaborative aspect of it. Like, for example, like inviting people to Miami. Yeah. I never reached out to anybody. First of all, I'm like very introverted and super shy. But secondly, also I was just like, I don't want to bother anybody. Yeah. Nobody wants to collab with me. And also collaboration was not so popular a few years ago. And now I think it's been taken to new heights where people start new businesses Absolutely. Together by meeting on TikTok. And so I think that the train hopping analogy is really great, but all these train hopping build all of your skills that you currently have. And more importantly, the incredible network.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah. If there was one thing I did right, it was building that network.
Yes.
That's why we're meeting today.
Yeah. Because, what I noticed after being 6-7 years in this industry is that there will be people who will be left behind and there will be people who will race ahead. Yep. And you never know when their big break is. And just knowing that, not that you're like trying to network with people to like take advantage of them or be like, this person is going to be big so that I'm going to like smooch on them. Not that, but it's just that understanding that if you're going to continue in this industry, you want to surround yourself with as many of those people as possible.
100%.
Yeah.
It's such a fine line of like, are you just meeting this person to get something out of them transactionally?
Yes.
Or like, because people can read through that.
Yeah.
It's actually one of the reasons I lived in LA for 3 months. And it just felt overwhelming that those those were the interactions I was having. It's like people would come up to you and be like, what can I get from you?
Yeah.
Like, that was like the sense. And Gary Vee has a really great book on this called Jab, 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 right? Right? Like when you meet someone new, you want to provide value, then ask for value of some sort, right? And so I take that to heart anywhere I go, right? There's times where like there's some people that I really want to connect with and I haven't asked them for a lick of value in like 6 months.
Yeah.
But I know the day that I want to, hopefully they're like, okay, of course I'll help, right?
Yeah.
Because done this for me.
Yeah,
right?
Definitely.
That's a fine line. It's a really, really fine line. Also in the networking space too, when you're first reaching out to someone, it's really easy to like I get an email every once in a while that's like, hey, Tejas, like you're killing it. Like what advice do you have for me?
Yeah.
That's like a really hard email to respond to.
Yes.
That's like you're making it really hard for me to
answer you.
Right? It's like I have to think about it. I have to do all this.
Yes, exactly.
Can you like ask someone in a way where it's really easy?
Yes.
If it's a yes or no, if it's I don't know, it's something along those lines.
That's right. Yes. If you are trying to grow along the journey and you want to get advice from people, first of all, do your research on this person. Yeah. Make sure you're asking them pointed questions, but also ask in a way where it's like, this is my situation. I have these choices. What is one advice you would give to me if you were me in this situation? It's so easy. One advice. And it's a no-brainer. They would just respond with one advice versus like, hey, how do I grow my Instagram? Or how do I grow on TikTok or YouTube?
Exactly. Because selfishly, I don't want to, it sounds horrible to say, but to think about that and spend 15 minutes on writing response is tough.
Yeah.
It's way more easy for me to go, archive.
Yeah.
Right. One of the best emails I've gotten was this person who's starting a business. And he goes, hey, I'm running this business and here are the 4 choices that I have. Can you please answer with just A, B, C, or D?
Oh.
List them out. It's like, A, I do this, and this. B, I do this, and this. And I
love that.
And I was like, thanks for your response. I would do C.
Oh, what?
I was not. I said because XYZ.
Yes.
But that is so much more easy for me to go, okay, I'll respond. Like, I know, instead of me like thinking like, what's the best advice I could give? It's see, okay, go.
Correct. That's a great point. Yes, great template. So make sure to use that template if you want to reach out to someone who could be really busy. So you mentioned that Colin and Samir are big inspirations of yours. They were big inspirations of mine too. I followed them since they had like 20,000 subscribers on YouTube. And at that time I was like, these guys, how come they only have 20,000 subscribers? And so the way I describe my current channel to other people, and not that I want to be like anybody else, but just for a lack of way to describe it, is that I want to be the female version of Colin and Samir. Obviously in my own style and with pink as like my brand color and all that. But what I find is that there's the lack of female commentators specifically just on influencer content, creator economy, and not veering off into like pop culture and all that, because I'm not interested in pop culture. I just want to learn about creators.
Money.
Yeah, that too. Let's be honest.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So what drew you to Colin and Samir in the first place, and how did you even meet them? I want to hear about that story.
Absolutely. No, first of all, I want to touch on what you just said.
Yeah.
Because I'm also culprit of this, of having this like implicit, what was it, like implicit bias? Is that what it's called? Where it's like, hey, like, what's that? Have you ever seen that thing where, like, I might be completely misquoting this, and this might be completely wrong, but the final message is correct, right? It was like, cars are so much more unsafe for women because all the test dummies were made of male bodies. And so when they would do these safety tests, they would be safe for men, but it completely, like, just not have zero testing on like women anatomy.
Okay.
And so it was this whole thing where people just didn't realize this. Like, you just forget about like 50% of the human population, right, in this testing. And I think a very similar thing is happening with the creator space. Right. When you think of like, I mean, just look at the just sheer amount of like business creator economy interviews that happen. Not just Colin and Samir, but everywhere. What percentage of it are males versus like females building? And I'm also culprit of this. I'm someone who talks on the creator economy, and I'm overwhelmingly just like, I overwhelmingly talk about male. Like,
understandable.
And so I love that direction. And I don't think it's something to say like, I want to be the female Colin Samir. That doesn't sound like you're going to be the second best of Colin Samir. Not at all. Right. And I know you, like, there's a whole thing, steal like an artist. Right. And if we don't have to touch on that here, but I know that you know how to do that and how to, take inspiration. Absolutely. So that's what I wanted to say about that.
Yeah, but thank you.
Absolutely.
How did you meet them?
So I was, again, train hopping.
Yes.
Right. One of the trains that I hopped on was consulting for this startup in LA. And they offered me 3 months to live in Los Angeles, right? This is when I was there. And luckily, right across the hall from the startup was Colin and Samir.
No way.
That's like they just moved to office.
Wait, you didn't know this?
I heard like rumors or something like it, but I knew that I thought they like bounced around, and this was, for some reason I thought like this was just a place where they filmed or something. Like, I didn't expect like they're literally like their headquarters were there.
I see.
And I remember, also this startup was just moving into that building. So there was nothing in this building yet. So I remember one of the first tasks I had to do was go to this office and kind of like set up a desk and whatnot. And I go, and I remember setting up this desk, and it was upstairs, and there's these windows that face downstairs. And I like heard some voices. I look downstairs, and all I see is Colin with the blue hat on, right? And then Samir, at the time, he had shorter hair, and I was like, oh my God. To me, like, meeting Colin and Samir for the first time, like, I wouldn't have the same reaction if I met like Mr. Beast.
Yeah.
Like that. I remember looking at them, and I went, I've watched every single one of their videos.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Same.
And I freaked out. And I remember like slowly walking down, and they were talking to one of the guys at that worked there. And then I remember I was just stood there quietly, like just like staring at them. And and Samir was like, "So man, what's up?" And I was like, "I don't know, how are you?" Like, it was so embarrassing. But they were across the hall for the 3 months that I was there, and every once in a while I'd be like, let me just pop in and say hello. What are they doing? Again, back to what we said, like, I never asked them for a lick of help on anything. And eventually they trusted me enough. They were like, hey, Tejas, what do you think of this thumbnail? I said, I like this, this, and this, but this probably could change.
Yeah.
And even if they didn't like it, like they were bad advice, they appreciated the fact that I was willing to say it.
Yeah.
Right? Or Colin would be writing a script for an intro and be like, what if you phrase it this way? And some of the things they would say, like, that's great advice.
Yeah.
Also, the things they would say is, yeah, sit down. We've been doing this for 9-10 years, right? But I think it was just the act of me trying to help them. And now, Samir has given me so many pieces of advice there. I don't think I would be a creator today.
Yeah.
If I didn't follow.
Wow. Okay.
And they're great mentors. And yeah, have you ever met them?
I have not. I've just been watching them quietly from afar for a long, long time. And I listened to every podcast episode. And so the reason why I specifically asked you this was because I remember when I saw your TikTok and I was like, he's going to be a young Samir. He is a young Samir. And I was like, I see similarities. He's clearly inspired by Colin and Samir, but also he has his own style.
Yeah, you know what's funny? Similar to what you just said, like how you were hesitant of like, I don't want to be like this. Of course, I'm going to do it in my own style, but I want to be the female Colin Samir. I had that too with them, right? And I was like, man, people are calling me like the Colin and Samir of TikTok. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing. And I was actually really struggling with that.
Yeah.
So what I do, I actually went up to Samir and asked him about this. And he actually gave me phenomenal advice about it too. He goes, Tejas, me and Colin are 32, 33 years old. You're 21.
Yeah.
I'm trying to have a kid and settle down. So the most I can do is sit down and talk about creators.
Yes.
It's working for us.
Yes.
The thing that you have that we don't is you're 21.
Yeah.
You can go run around now. And like, that's your competitive advantage.
Yes.
And so,
that's the insatiable hunger I was talking about.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Right. Like, I don't have a wife, kids. I don't have a mortgage.
Do you even have a girlfriend?
No, I don't. And so it's like, all right, like all of my effort can go into, instead of like interviewing Ryan Trahan like they would do and like asking the same questions, is there a way that I can make it to where it feels more personal, where I go to Austin, Texas, that's where Ryan is, right? And like do something there with him, something. This is just off the top of my head.
Yeah.
I'm not saying
It's
kind of but yeah, it's in a very similar light.
Yes. I love that because I can see how even just having one mentor to just guide you in the right direction can make a huge difference. And I'm hoping that more creators who have been there, done that, can do that for younger budding creators.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Not saying you're like budding. I feel like you already have your own voice and you have your own brand.
Yeah. I guess that's just the imposter syndrome in me going, no, I don't, but I would just, I've been around the block.
Yeah. But, well, I'm curious too, because you had talked about creator economy and then for a while you kind of veered off that path and then you did some personal vlogs, which I enjoy your personal vlogs, but I obviously that's for more of a close audience, right? On Instagram. So let's talk about like why you changed directions and then what you're trying to do now to get back on track.
Wow. So I have not told anyone this yet.
Yeah.
This is the biggest mistake that I've done.
Really? Well, I actually noticed and then I was like, oh, I'm not as interested in like these other TikToks where he kind of doesn't talk about the creator economy anymore. But then obviously I didn't know you then. But yeah, I'm curious to know your thoughts.
No, I'll take that to the chest, right? I think this is like a lesson that I think people in my close circle I had this lesson the hard way. And I'll explain that. And then now I'm trying to tell it to other people who are going down this path. But I was really obsessed with them still today. Like when you hear this, like you can either talk about the creator economy and do your thing, or there's a bunch of creators out there being able to talk and vlog about whatever they want and make a living off.
Yeah.
My head went, I want to do that.
Yeah.
Right. And again,
why do you want to do that?
I think it's the freedom aspect. Like I want to be able to tell, I think eventually it's like, I want to be able to tell a story of, I think it's this. It's like, I'm a human being and my interests are always changing.
You're multi-passionate. We all have this problem.
Yeah. And for example, I remember this story this brings in one of my closest friends. His name is Omar.
Yeah.
If you know Omar. He built this Instagram account called House of Highlights.
Yeah.
right? And then he sold it to Bleacher Report. He's one of the most like incredible, successful people that I've met. And now he's the head of social media at ESPN. And he's been doing this for a long, long time as well. And I remember I posted this video of like my running journey, right? Because I've been running and health and fitness is becoming more and more of this interesting thing. So naturally I was like, these videos are what I make. Like I'm going to make whatever I want.
Yeah.
Right. And I posted it on the same platform where I'm also talking about like business education. And for some reason, like I felt like I was on the right path. Like I'm like, okay, maybe I am diversifying my brand in a way that should, because there are the comments coming in like, I like following this. But I remember Omar sat me down one day, right? Because there was also a part of me that's like, okay, views are slowing down and I'm actually losing a little bit of followers. And I'm like, back of my head, I'm going, oh, am I not on the right path? And Omar is like, he's a very like cutthroat guy.
Yeah.
So he'll like, if you're doing something wrong, he'll tell you to your face.
You need one of those in your life.
You definitely do. If you're only surrounded by yes people in your life,
yes, exactly,
you are gonna fail.
Yeah.
And Omar goes, Tejas, I love you, man, and I know you personally, but I don't give a about your running videos.
Yeah.
It's like, just think about it like this. Your business education videos are obviously doing well. And a new viewer is watching one of those videos. They see it, they go, I like this video. They go click on your profile. And what do they see? They see a running video next.
Yeah.
They're going to be like, okay, I'm not getting the same value. So what am I doing here? Right? And I go, oh my gosh, what am I doing? It was one of those like, you're so right. Like you have to separate your personal interests and your online brand.
Yes, yes.
And
yes.
It was just such a hit of the face. I think I was so obsessed with this idea of like, I want to change the game. I want to be this multi-passionate, informative person online. I want to make a golf video because I'm also really interested in golf and I want to share lessons. And like, it sounds so good in theory, but that's right now for the size I'm at, I have to play the game before changing the game.
Right.
That's
yes.
like again, a huge, this is a very recent lesson. I only just started kind of coming back to centering myself to, hey, you got to play the game. You're this educational guy. That doesn't mean you have no like path. Like there's still a path there, but stay in that lane.
Yeah. Yeah.
Provide that same value.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. It's only been like 2 months or so where I've been like coming back and cleaning up the profile to do this.
So you mentioned one thing that was very interesting is you said at this size, it's important to play the game. So that's one thing that I do think is true is when you're starting out, you do need to give people more of a reason to follow. So that means sticking to what, if you want to call it the terrible N-word, that your niche.
Yeah.
So your niche is very important in the beginning to get your first group of people. But niche is also very tricky because once you go so deep into it, it's very hard to pivot out of it as well. So it goes both ways. So being too broad means you can't grow, but then being too narrow also means you might box yourself in.
Yeah.
So that's why you kind of need to combine both. And what I consider that is more like having a very clear topic range that you talk about, but do it in your own distinct style so that if you want to jump out into like somewhat related topics, but different topics in your own style, there will still be a huge group of people following you to that next topic.
Absolutely. Absolutely. No, I think a perfect example of this is Emma Chamberlain's early rise, right? I think anyone looks at like this type of content she makes and goes, I want to do that, right? The fact that she's like cooking and most of her value is coming from her personality. Like, of course we all want to do that, right?
Yeah.
We would be lying if we wouldn't.
Yeah.
But early on, she was a DIY fashion creator.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, her very first videos were, here is how to make, I'm going to, again, misquote. It was something along the lines of 5 things that you could do to, like, uplift your style and things like that, right? And so that's, like, the original value. But she, like, had her personality shine through those videos where she was allowed to expand because people connected with her personality, right? There's a really great quote. It's, you escape competition through authenticity.
Yeah,
at the end of the day, right? And in the same light, it's like whenever I just, like, I have a couple people on my team now, and whenever they give me an idea, right, I say, look, we're not reporters online. For example, at the time of this recording, ChatGPT, like that AI is going wild.
Yeah.
And like probably later today, I'm going to make some sort of video or some sort of content about it.
Yeah.
And it was an idea that one of my, the people on my team gave. And I was like, look, we can just go online and talk about ChatGPT. That's not a good idea. it's like, how can we make it so we're not a reporter? We don't just report the news of what's happening.
Yeah.
And for me, how I make sure that like, it's not just anyone can talk about ChatGPT. It's what is it that people want to hear about Tejas talking about ChatGPT?
Yes.
And for me, it's like, how do I connect it to the big picture of the creator world?
Yeah.
Right? Or my world or my journey. So here is information about ChatGPT. Here's what it is. Here's how I'm using it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So now I can't like be reposted on those like Instagram accounts that just take everyone else's content.
That's
you know what I mean? And I think that's the difference for me. And so it is building a little bit of that personality, right? Emma did DIY fashion, but she built a personality with it. For me, and I'm not saying I'm perfect at this, I need to do a better job, but it's like, how can I talk about ChatGPT, but add my personality in it too? And then so if you talk about something a little different, people are still following you because they want to hear you talk about whatever topic.
Yes, correct. Exactly. So that is super important. And also one thing to keep in mind, and maybe some perspective to offer you, is that the people who blow up through their personality, which is possible, and usually they are more of like an exception because their personality is just really unique, or the way they tell stories is really unique. And you only really have a few of these once in a while, you know, like Emma Chamberlain, and then there's more, you know, but you do have to have a certain quality to be that. I think you can definitely be that. But like, I know I'm definitely not, like, quite frankly, I know what I am, I know what I'm not. And I know that I'm not a personality. I am more of I'm like a doer, and I'm very planned. I'm like very meticulous with everything I do. Everything is intentional, you guys. All of my stories. Like, I can't riff off the top of my head and be super interesting.
Go to her Instagram and just scroll like really fast. And you'll just see the most beautiful color blockings, and you go, how do you even think of this? I remember doing that the first time, I think with you at Adobe, and I go, this is how much thought you're putting into it. It's fascinating. Fascinating. No, you're great. But I think, like, again, I think a part of this job is you have to be incredibly self-aware.
Yes.
Right? And I think a lot of that is like understanding, it's like stuff you don't want to say out loud because it's like not politically correct. But it's like, for example, like, I am an Indian creator, and I use that to my advantage.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, I want to connect with other people who have immigrant parents.
Yes.
It's like, that is a level of self-awareness. Like, how do you use that to your advantage? And for you to be able to say, like, and I agree with you, it's like, when I watch your content, is it like, I do believe you have a great personality, but is it the personality that's the number one value that I'm getting out of your content? No, I think I'm here to learn from you and your style and the way that you put things together and the whole package.
Yeah.
That is the main value. But secondary, third, like, I think I'll still think like your personality shows if you speak something or don't. You know, it's like it's like the reasons you make the stuff you do, like, your personality does shine. But I agree with you. I think that's a very self-aware thing to say.
Yeah, I guess what I mean is, like, I have a personality online, and I have my own personality, and you do too, whoever is watching. But I don't have a very like naturally charismatic personality, and I know that for a fact because whenever people say like, "How are you?" all I say is like, "I'm good, thank you." I don't have anything else to say. Like, I couldn't. Anyway, that's just me. But what I'm saying is, there's another difficulty with being a personality creator is that you have to keep showing up with your face.
Yeah.
So that's okay for you right now at your current age with your current energy. But everyone who gets to that 5, 6, 7, 8 year point, they're like, I can't do this anymore. Yeah. I don't want to keep showing up. It's incredible pressure, and I want to start outsourcing this, but they can't. Like, how can Emma Chamberlain outsource Emma Chamberlain?
It's like I think Alex Hormozi actually said this. Of like, or we can put it in between us, like, what do you value my business at Tejas Hullur LLC, right? It's like, okay, you can say it's worth $1 million, just arbitrary numbers.
Yeah.
What does that mean? It's like, Chipotle is worth $42 billion.
Yeah.
That means I can buy Chipotle for $42 billion. Okay, super simplified. You can't buy at Tejas Hullur for $1 million right now because I'm the face of it.
Yeah.
So yes, I'm building equity, but like, what is that?
It's like what Mr. Wonderful from Shark Tank says. If you get run over by a bus, your company is done. Yeah. Like, we're done.
We're done.
Like, the whole brand is done.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So how are you, like, I guess, like, getting run over by the bus, proofing yourself? How do you make sure that if you do?
That is a great question.
Yeah, what are you doing?
Yeah, so I talked to Alex Costa about this yesterday, and he's also at a point where he has done a lot. He's being pulled in many different directions. So he's thinking about how can he build brands beyond himself.
Yep.
And that is always the point that all creators get to. So I'm not quite there yet. I am in the process of building stuff so that one day I could get there, because I'm 35, man. And as a female with no kids yet and the pressure of having kids soon, it's insane pressure. So the thing is, I want to start to, in the future, the idea is to introduce another person who can help be the spokesperson of the full-time influencer brand, which is what I'm currently working with.
Correct.
Obviously, the Tina Lee brand, this one won't, it will have to be phased out in the future if I decide not to show up.
Yeah.
However, I do have my digital courses, and so that would be the way that I can see it being transferred into like an actual brand. Yeah. So that's what Think Media did, with Sean, and we can see how he's aging. Like if you go back to his first videos and now you're like you can see the progress of him aging too. And you can understand why he needs to phase himself out from the limelight.
Absolutely. Yes Theory is the same way.
Is it Limelight?
Limelight, yeah.
Okay.
Limelight, yeah. Yes Theory is in the same way. I remember he just made Thomas just made a video of like, you guys have seen me grow up from being 22 years old and I'm 28 now.
Yeah.
It's like my priorities are different.
Yeah.
It's like I can't spend 18 hours a day making videos or like staying up until 3 a.m. editing. Like,
yeah.
I have a kid.
Yeah.
These things they're mutually exclusive.
Yes.
You can't do both.
It's hard. It's extremely hard.
Absolutely.
And many people don't want their children to be on screen, on social media too. That's another risk. But I think it's very interesting because this is the first kind of industry where regular people can grow literally multiple seven-figure businesses.
Yeah.
And then not know how to transfer that business and then not know what to do with the business.
Yeah, it's
so
an end date.
It's like a great problem to have, but it's also like a unique situation.
Absolutely.
That will be. So that's just one food for thought in terms of people who really want to grow just by being yourself. You have to understand that later on, that could become a burden.
Exactly.
And that concludes part 1 of our conversation with Tejas. I hope you enjoyed it. If you are an aspiring creator, then check out the free resources I've linked for you down below on how to land paid brand deals. In part 2, we're going to talk about his revenue streams, breaking them down, plus his highest paid brand deal. And he's going to share with us how he plans to recession-proof his business and his very creative way of hiring, which I'm totally going to adopt. So thank you, Tejas. Without further ado, let's get into it.